Good evening, Kosmos Church, and welcome to our Jesus Road Productions. We are standing here in the construction site of what is about to be our new opening of the new Old Jerusalem wing. Yes, we renamed it. This is now the Old Jerusalem wing. So as you see, we have basically demolished everything. The poles have been demolished. We demolished the flags. We demolished everything. BIOS will be getting more handheld cameras. This is not a handheld camera. This is somebody's smartphone. This is not a handheld camera. We will get a handheld camera and you will see videos uploaded and posted to our YouTube channel for Jesus Road Productions and God's Book of Life, The Liking. So that's basically what our intention is. Now, of course, what we plan to do is get the facility as updated as possible by adding safety features such as reflectors, additional lighting, detection sensors for wild animals, and scare away sensors for wild animals so that they will not intrude on the property. We also have installed 2 floodlights on the rear end of the Old Jerusalem wing, and also plan to effect the upgrading of, as you can see newer, more modern floodlights, more ground lights. Bridges have been modernized, and plants, of course. There are lots of new exotic plants out here that you have never seen before. You will not be able to see the peach tree in the darkness, but helps a little bit when I put my finger here. Yeah, it reflects the light. Just gotta get that crucial exposure in. Okay, there we go. But yes, Kosmos Church has invested a large, substantial budget into this New Jerusalem wing. So now let's talk about expenditures. So, as you know, Kosmos Church has been looming, large as one of the most biblically advanced facilities pretty much in North America for in the past recent years. Nobody knows this because, the word hasn't gotten out yet. Only people that actually go to the church has known this. And the fact of the matter is, this is only going to get deepened with the more BIOS plan. Kosmos Church plans to replace its theologians and then add more theologians in its coming years. Yes, we are literally replacing. We got to fix these dead plants here and fix this gate, but renovations only just started. This was literally abandoned all just a few short days ago. This was all abandoned. The whole weed, the grass was a foot high, was all abandoned property. So, as you can see here, it's a nice secure area. to make sure that no one's seeing in from the outside where they're not supposed to, but it still looks inviting. And we're going to cut to make sure that everywhere looks inviting. More flags will be put up and outcrops will be added. But Bios Cosmos Church, we do have theologians that are pretty much going to come fresh off the belt and straight into this facility. Basically, that's what we're saying. Now, laws regarding on where these theologians come from have been changed. We're opening the doors to everybody. We used to require a certain level of experience, but we call it certain level of discrimination now, because we're saying people that are now just needing to learn are just now being pushed to the side, when really all they need to do is just enter the churching environment and just, simply learn the word of God more. If God is pushing them to greater heights, then they can be pushed to greater heights. If not, then that's just not the case. But let people lay wherever they lay currently. That was the whole idea behind the newest extension to the Reconnaissance Act. So, with this new addition to the Reconnaissance Act, and as you know, the Reconnaissance Act makes the news 99% of the time because it is the most controversial acts in Biosian history, because the Reconnaissance Act reformed education. This is the first act of the Reconnaissance Act telling members of church parliament or church government that you can't turn people away for anything. You can't. We used to, trust me, we used to say, oh, well, you've only had a high school education, you got to go to college. You need to go through a certain number of years of Bible school. Now what we want you to do is just have a zeal. So what we'll do is we'll take you in, and now the goal is you need to be pushing for your training. There's a place for everybody here. We have 120 positions that need to be filled. The more BIOS plan will increase that position to 520. The more BIOS plan of 2020 will increase that. I'm sorry, I read it wrong. The 2020 more BIOS plan will increase that position to 190 positions, and will add an additional 10 departments to the church. Therefore, adding that there will be 30 departments to the church, 30 full-time operating departments. There are 27 departments. Most of them do not operate full-time, only partial bi-yearly, 1 week out of the year. All of those will operate yearly. There will be no partial departments. All departments will operate full-time. And there will be 190 positions to fill. So therefore, the minimum hiring age at Bios Cosmos Church will be non-existent. Anybody can work here. Any level of education, there's a job for everyone. You will just have to work in the department that fits your age. So if you are a youth, you will have to work in the youth department. If you're a young adult, you'll have to work in the young adult department. If you're fully grown, you could work in any department. So only adults can work anywhere they want in the church. But youth and young adults have to work in the department that's consistent with their age. And the Reconnaissance Act do have this outlined as a part of their non-discrimination bill. So the Reconnaissance Act and the Sinclair Acts both have non-discrimination bills. And I thought it was important that I shared this with the public, because the public needs to know that BIOS is taking a heavy stance against congregational, provincial, local, staff, and even top-level governmental discrimination. We want to make sure that there's a hard hit felt against these kinds of discrimination. So therefore, no matter who you are, you're always welcome here, and you're always going to feel loved, welcome here. And with the opening of the Old Jerusalem wing, which the date has been pushed to October the 1st, 2019, excuse me again, this will be a symbolic. Some services will be moved to the Old Jerusalem wing. So please also note that there might be some confusions regarding parking and entrancing to the church services, as well as admissions. Tutoring services will continue as regular. The emergency department is in a central location, easy access from the parking lot, so therefore that's easy. The route to get to the Old Jerusalem, the Nazareth wing, will change. You will have to cut through formerly known as the Bethlehem wing to get to the Nazareth wing. The Bethlehem wing is being renamed the Old Jerusalem wing. So I'm just saying, be careful, look out for the signs, read the signs. Signs always tell you where to go. At nights, follow the reflectors. Do not stray far from the paths. Do not go off of the paths when you're going through at night. I'm just telling you, you don't want to go in places where you don't want to go. Don't go off the paths. Don't go in the pulpit area. Don't go in the garden beds. Don't go in the dry creek. Don't go anywhere at night. Just stay on the walkways. It's a lot safer. We can account for you. And, it'll make your visit to BIOS a lot safer. And with that being said, we just want to know that we are looking out for your safety. Budgets. Now let's talk about budget. Budgeting at BIOS Kosmos Church have never looked so good. The yearly budget for BIOS Kosmos Church is expected to be undashed. Yes, we've never undashed a budget before in the church's history. So the average yearly budget up until now has been an average of $500 per year, leaving approximately $100 a year per department. The operating costs for the average department is $160 a year. That's the average cost for major departments. Minor departments will spend about $50 a year. That money can easily be shared for minor departments. Now, the operating cost has swelled. Now that the church has more people, now that the church has a higher crime rate, and now that the church has more affairs, operating costs has more than tripled. So with that being said, it is now all more the important that BIOS invests more money, which now it is able to do. Starting in January 2020, BIOS Kosmos Church will see a uncut in some of its expenditures. Right now we are running on a zero-speed conductor charge. A zero-speed conductor charge order is when the church is ordered to spend as little money as possible, simply because every penny that is spent is putting the church in debt. So a zero-speed conductor charge reduction is when the church is funded just enough to delete the depths as a result of that zero-speed conductor order. Yes. So yeah, all the church's debts are going to be deleted from the 2019 church year in as early as January. All of the church debts, the church-wide debt, will be gone only from 2019. Last year debts will still exist. The church will be refunded for next year for more activities though. So 2020-2021 church year, which is also good, the church will operate on a $2,000 budget. The more BIOS plan is going to put the church back in the same predicament as it's been since its opening day, because the average the operating cost for the whole church is going to be $1,900. So it's going to put the church in a slightly better predicament. But guess what? The only deal is government funding has never covered the entire operating costs in the history of BIOS Kosmos Church. So the church has never been able to count on funding to its entirety from the BIOCian government. 90% of the time, there's always a deficit. So to run the church to its entirety for the entire fiscal year, this does include books, this does include software, this does include maintenance for the website, this does include maintenance pretty much for everything else. This does include yard maintenance and property maintenance. This does include everything. Without tithes and offering, it costs approximately $2,000. And now you have to factor in that there are more departments that are going to be sucking and drinking more money. Literally drinking the money. So never have money from the administration been enough to cover the amount of deficit that the church is going to use. So the fact that it's predicted that it's going to do this next year, it's shocking almost. Now, it's estimated that it can go up to $2,300 worth of funding, but that's fail-safe funding. So that means in order to unlock that funding, the church would simply have to don't spend that money in other areas. So that means there'll have to be no casualties. That means it won't have to make payments. It won't have to do anything. Now remember, BIOS is a pretty risky environment, so we find ourselves paying back a lot of things often. So if we don't pay back anything, we could get that extra few hundred, which would double our coverage. But BIOS Kosmos Church News.